The city rain soaked the asphalt, turning every reflection into a fractured mirror of neon lights. A black sedan skidded to a stop outside a taxi stand, its doors swinging open to reveal a man in a tailored suit, face twisted in impatience. "Hurry up, you slow driver," he barked, his words sharp, dripping with contempt. The taxi driver, a quiet man in his mid-40s, adjusted his cap and met the insult with nothing but a steady, unwavering gaze. He had seen scorn before. He had seen the world underestimate him. But tonight, fate had its own lesson to teach. Rain hammered the city streets like a relentless drum. The neon glow from towering billboards shimmered across puddles, each drop reflecting a world where wealth spoke louder than kindness. Amidst the chaos, a lone taxi idled, its engine humming steadily. Behind the wheel sat Amir, a man whose quiet eyes had witnessed hardship beyond the luxury of most patrons. His hands, calloused and steady, gripped the worn steering wheel with a kind of silent dignity, a quiet defiance against a world that often overlooked those who carried its burdens unnoticed. The black sedan arrived like a storm of entitlement. The door slammed open, and out stepped Jonathan Harwood, a businessman whose tailored suit and gold cufflinks seemed to announce a life untouched by struggle. His gaze, sharp and dismissive, fell on Amir. "Hurry up, you slow driver," he snapped. The words cut through the night, sharp as glass. Bystanders glanced away, some chuckling, others pretending not to notice, their silence a subtle complicity in the injustice. Amir said nothing. He had learned early in life that words were often wasted on arrogance. He focused on the road, on the rhythm of the tires against wet asphalt, on the pulse of the city that spoke a language he understood far better than the cold arrogance of wealth. Amir's backstory was etched into every line on his face. Born into a family that scraped by, he had watched his father toil in construction, hands raw and bleeding, for pennies that barely kept the lights on. His mother had taught him the value of quiet strength, of patience and compassion in a world that often rewarded the opposite. At 17, he had joined the military, seeking purpose, discipline, and a chance to serve something greater than himself. The sights and sounds of distant battlefields haunted him still. The acrid smell of smoke, the metallic tang of blood, the screams that echoed in memory long after the cannons fell silent. He had returned home, bearing both medals and scars, the latter invisible to most, yet heavy in the quiet moments when the world seemed indifferent to sacrifice. Night after night, Amir drove through streets lined with people who measured worth by wealth and status. He witnessed countless microaggressions, public insults, and moments of disregard that chipped at the dignity of those like him. Yet, he never faltered. His silence was his shield, his patience a quiet protest against the arrogance of those who believed the world owed them respect. As the rain intensified, Amir navigated the sedan through traffic with practiced precision. Jonathan's impatience grew, manifested in tapping fingers on the polished dashboard, in muttered curses that sought to pierce Amir's calm exterior. Yet Amir remained unmoved. He had learned that true strength was not in retaliation, but in composure. Fate, however, has a way of weaving lessons when least expected. A truck, barreling down a slick street at impossible speed, loomed ahead, its brakes failing. Jonathan, absorbed in his own irritation, did not notice the danger. Amir's instincts, honed by years of vigilance, kicked in. With a swift, precise maneuver, he guided the taxi and the sedan away from the path of destruction. The trucks screeching past mere inches from where they had been seconds before. Jonathan's face turned ashen, his arrogance evaporating in the face of mortal peril. For a long moment, silence reigned inside the car. Then Jonathan's voice, trembling, broke the quiet. You saved my life." The words hung fragile, barely believable to the man who had lived through enough battles to know the difference between a fear and gratitude. Amir only nodded, his eyes calm, reflective, carrying a weight of experience that made Jonathan's flustered panic seem inconsequential. The conflict was not over. The rain continued to fall, the city unyielding in its chaos. But a subtle shift had occurred. Jonathan's entitlement, once a wall of arrogance, began to crack. He realized that wealth had not granted him courage, nor had it protected him from vulnerability. Amir's silence, once mistaken for submission, revealed a strength far deeper than money could ever buy. Amir's act of quiet heroism resonated beyond the immediate danger. Witnesses who had observed the incident began to murmur, recognizing the courage it took to remain composed under threat. One by one, faces that had once turned away now registered respect. It was a moral victory, a silent justice that spoke louder than words. Jonathan's reflection deepened. He recalled the countless times he had dismissed others, assumed superiority based on wealth, and neglected the humanity of those who served him or stood beside him. The reality of his dependence on a man he had insulted forced a reckoning within him. The lesson was stark and unyielding. Respect is earned not through power or status, but through recognition of the inherent value of every human life. Amir, in his own quiet way, delivered a series of subtle yet profound truths that lingered. Strength isn't in the noise we make, he thought, but in the calm that holds the storm at bay. Another realization whispered in his mind. Kindness and patience are shields stronger than arrogance or wealth. And in that shared, wordless moment, the final truth emerged. No life is insignificant. No person without value. The aftermath was vivid and satisfying. Jonathan, humbled, extended a hand, not with entitlement, but with genuine respect. Bystanders, once indifferent, nodded in recognition of Amir's courage. Some approached to thank him, others to witness the quiet dignity that had turned a life-threatening moment into a lesson of profound moral weight. It was a transformation that required no shouting, no spectacle, just the unshakable presence of a man who had lived through storms, both literal and metaphorical, and had emerged with integrity intact. The city, relentless in its pace, seemed momentarily changed. The rain had not stopped, but its rhythm now underscored a story of honor, humility, and unseen heroism. People moved with a subtle awareness that the world could be different if respect became the currency, rather than wealth or status. The lesson resonated. Those who carry themselves with dignity, who face life's challenges with quiet courage, leave an impact far greater than those who rely solely on power or privilege. Amir returned to his taxi, the city lights reflecting on the wet streets like scattered jewels. He adjusted his cap, settled into the seat, and exhaled, a silent affirmation of his own worth. Jonathan sat in reflective silence, transformed by the encounter, aware that his understanding of humanity had deepened irrevocably. It was a moment that would linger, a story that would be recounted in hushed tones, a moral etched into the consciousness of everyone who had witnessed it. Through the night, Amir drove, navigating the maze of streets with practiced skill. Every turn, every puddle, every distant honk of a horn reminded him of life's fragility and the importance of humility. He had lived through scorn, danger, and hardship, and had emerged not just unbroken, but victorious in the truest sense, through integrity, empathy, and silent strength. The lesson was clear and unforgettable. True power lies not in wealth, but in character. Respect is the foundation of human connection, and heroism often resides in the quietest hearts. Those who underestimate others, who judge by appearances or status, risk being taught by life itself. Amir's calm courage had rewritten the night, leaving an indelible mark on all who witnessed it. In reflecting on the night's events, one could see a larger truth. The world is often blind to unseen battles, to sacrifices made in silence. Yet, those battles shape destinies and carve pathways for empathy, humility, and respect. Amir embodied the silent strength that underpins every meaningful human connection, demonstrating that heroism is not always loud, nor always visible, but it is always transformative. As dawn approached, the city awoke to the rhythm of its relentless pulse, unaware that it had witnessed a story of profound moral weight. Amir continued his journey, each ride a continuation of his quiet testament to humanity. Each passenger a reminder that the simple act of recognizing another's worth can ripple far beyond immediate perception. Jonathan, forever changed, carried the lesson with him into boardrooms, meetings, and the corridors of influence. The memory of being saved by a man he had belittled reminded him daily that respect is not given. It is observed, experienced, and honored. And in those moments of reflection, he silently thanked the taxi driver who had, through courage and composure, illuminated a truth more valuable than gold. Amir's story became a beacon, a narrative of quiet resilience and moral integrity. His actions spoke louder than words, teaching that every person, regardless of status, appearance, or wealth, possesses the potential for heroism, for dignity, and for profound impact. In the end, the city, with all its chaos and neon glare, became a little brighter, a little more aware, because one man chose silence over retaliation, courage over fear, and respect over disdain. The lesson was timeless. To honor the unseen battles, to acknowledge the worth of every soul, and to recognize that true strength is quiet, unwavering, and transformative. The story concludes with a reflective note. Respect is the most powerful currency. Silent strength carries the weight of worlds. Unseen battles shape destinies. Every human deserves recognition, compassion, and honor. Comment below where you're watching from, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more stories that honor the true silent heroes among us.